Mr. Michael, look, employment is a key area in people's lives. I've been visiting the districts. The most talked about topic is employment. People are concerned about pay cut, layoff, or the terms being turned into casual basis. But they are not interested in what the government has to say. When it comes to employment, we see that there is an unemployment rate of 3.7%. However, the number has increased by thousands of people, and underemployment has increased by 1.6%. The unemployment rate is 7% in F&B industries. Compared to 2022, there is an increase by about 50%. People are concerned about when it will be their turn to be laid off or to have a pay cut. There are employers saying in a TV interview that because of supplementary labor schemes, they have replaced local workers. That is the truth. When will there be an adjustment of the importation labor policies? There has been some tweaking. The direction is good because they have changed the calculation of posts, extension of local recruitment, etc. But it's impossible to prohibit all these tactics. Say, for example, bogus employment. There are 26 types of jobs that won't allow imported labor. It was 2 years ago when it was proposed. It was written in black and white that it would only last for 2 years. Time has passed. What's the government going to do? Is it the case that you will conduct a review only after there is a complete stop of these trades? Well, there are many different terms being used: suspension, trigger, dynamic change, many different versions. But when will actual assistance be rendered? Given our current situation, I will have to say it once again that you need to do something. It doesn't really matter what you do to encourage people to spend, talk about a silver hair economy, but elderly people's jobs have been taken over by other people, so they won't be interested in about a silver hair economy. And if parents are concerned about the jobs, and if they're worried about the job prospects, they won't be forming families. So employment is a key area of people's lives, and you should put your words into action. We have surplus workforce. How do we make good use of the surplus workforce? How can you improve on job matching? How do you encourage middle-aged women to take up jobs? How do you plug the manpower shortage gap? You should not rely on the lax importation of labor policy. I was asked to speak on this topic, whether the government will listen to me or not. At this stage, people talk about growing our economy, but you need consumption power, spending power, but that comes from a stable job. Our country has an enormous productive power, but people are scared to spend. The stock market is a different matter. But for an ordinary employee, there is nothing more important than a stable job with steady pay rise. This should be seen as a good thing. It is not a negative factor affecting our competitiveness. Countries with high competitiveness all offer very high pay. Mr. Robert Lee, I'll continue with my speech. In this session, I would like to focus on education. There is clear direction from the central authority saying that Hong Kong should be built into an international high-quality talent hub. So the university town in the North Metropolis should be expedited. I'm happy to learn that there is the task force on study in Hong Kong being set up. DSS schools are allowed to take in more non-local students. There are also a number of measures to attract international talents. The sector also advocates interaction between university town and industries. In this regard, there are comments saying that local universities with a special advantage, overseas well-known tertiary educations, and those on the mainland should be brought together, and they can focus on subjects on frontier realms such as new AI, new energy, and they can also draw reference from successful cities in China in order to enhance the interaction between tertiary education institutions and the surrounding areas. Tax concession can be offered. These measures will be conducive to building an ecosystem. In terms of international talent exchange, the government can put in place facilitating measures in terms of visa arrangements. Special channels can be established. The government can also set up special schemes and funds to support specialized talents to start their R&D projects in Hong Kong. In turn, it will enhance our competitiveness. In terms of the top talent pass scheme, the applicants are required to have a bachelor's degree of certain universities with a 3-year working experience. There is no quota. My suggestion is that Category B applications can be adjusted. If a person is employed in Hong Kong with a contract, then the original employment requirements can be waived. In this way, the actual needs of talents can be matched with what Hong Kong needs. I speak in support of the policy address. Mr. Kenny Fogg, I only have about a minute or so left. The policy address talks about a number of talent-related measures. My constituency, that is the cultural sector, we are in bad need of manpower, so I'm very concerned about the visa arrangements. I'm concerned about the increase in fees for visas. I have some suggestions. First, please improve the tiers. Well, now the starting point is about 180 days, but a lot of these visits are short. Can you offer an option of a very short-term stay? Because it will tailor to the needs of international cultural exchange. But there is the regularization of a short-term visitor scheme. Can there be a review? If it is a designated activity, it can be waived. There are only 4 eligible organizers for the application of waivers. Can the list be expanded? Thank you. I speak in support of the policy address. Mr. Chu Kwok-keung. I'm a principal of a subsidized school. I'm also the head of Teachers Association. I'm happy to see the measures in relation to education in the policy address. The THE has just announced the latest 100 top university schools. We have 5 in Hong Kong that made the list. It shows that Hong Kong is an international high-quality talent hub and an education hub. The policy address talks about relaxation of non-local students. For the 8 universities, the ratio of non-Hong Kong students is raised. There is also the task force on study in Hong Kong attracting quality students to come to Hong Kong. The world's competing for talents. We should be active. We can go to ASEAN countries, the US, and Europe to try to attract top quality students to come to Hong Kong. In addition to the youth hostels in the city, additional supporting measures should be put in place. The local talent pool should be enriched so that there will be strong support for our development. It takes time to groom talents. Our universities have garnered a renowned accolade, worldwide accolade, is because of our robust system. But we have a shrinking student population. We hear about the closure of classes and schools. That's because of a shrinking student population. Well, there is the relaxation of quota of non-Hong Kong students studying in direct subsidy schools. That is the right direction. We give recognition to it. Currently, there are 21 DSS schools offering non-Hong Kong curricula. I believe that they will be included in the pilot scheme. But what about DSE curriculum? Subsidized schools have taken in non-Chinese speaking students as well as students that don't live in Hong Kong. I suggest that there should be relaxation of a criteria. We can deepen education cooperation within the GBA to strengthen our position. We need to restructure allocation of resources because of our physical difficulties. But if the pace is too rushed, there'll be problems. The government should enhance communication with school sponsors. They can be encouraged to merge schools under their purview. However, we do need to encourage childbirth and to expand the source of students to revert the situation. I would like to talk about the introduction of practicing certificate of teachers. Teaching is a very noble profession. We understand that there is high expectations on teachers. A number of measures have been rolled out to improve teachers' qualifications and the teaching culture. The secretary said that serving teachers will be able to continue to serve. I have some suggestions for serving teachers as long as they meet the requirement in relation to lesson time. They don't have to go through extra assessment. Careful consideration should be given to teachers who have the qualification but have not taught for a very long time. If there is stringent requirements, it will dampen, it will make it more difficult for schools to recruit. Those who have shelved their teaching profession for a very long time are very experienced in many different areas. The focus of the new regime is to enhance understanding of professionalism as well as legal requirements. As past practice, there should be careful verification of their qualifications, that they have not done anything that will that there is not any misconduct in the past. President Xi talked about teaching being an important profession. I believe that education can play a very active role in taking forward national development. Mr. Kitson-Yang, the government has put in place a very practical initiative to tackle long-standing problems. Well, we enable HOS or GSH owners to move into the private market, but there are some difficulties because of an undersupply of subsidized sale flat. I have some suggestions. First, the revitalization of the HOS secondary market. People who have been living in their flats for over 10 years, they will automatically get eligibility for white form application in the secondary market. This will restore the function of housing ladder. There should be a clear pathway for PRH tenants to move upwards on the property ladder. But if they vacate their unit, then the unit can be transferred to the families in need. I see that in the policy address that will be increased supply of HOS and GSH. There will be more larger flats. There is also flat for elderly owners. The alienation restrictions is relaxed from 15 to 10 years. That is conducive to improving the property ladder. It will be encouraging for people who want to own a flat. I hope that a review can be conducted, and after that, relax eligibility to families with minor children. But in this way, then people can upsize or downsize as they need. But if the cross-district reallocation can be extended to housing society, it will be even better.
Now, there were calls before the delivery of the policy address for relaunching the tenant purchase scheme. Now, Ms. Winnie Ho, the secretary, already remarked that a study will be conducted on when the TPS should be relaunched, together with pricing and ownership issues. Before we roll out TPS 2.0, we need to resolve the existing management problems. Now, the HA should take up a more active role in the management of TPS, and for common areas and the prevailing management problem, we can select a number of pilot estates, such as new ones and those below the age of 20, so that we can tap the powers of existing tenants to see whether they are willing to buy the flats or go elsewhere. Now, decanting arrangements can be put in place. Moving allowance can be offered. We can also give priority to GSH applicants or HOS applicants. We can help make savings, and in the long run, save operating and management costs. Now, on urban renewal, the policy address proposes relaxing the cross-district plot ratio transfer criteria. In 7 selected areas, there will be a suitable increase in the size of redevelopment and a plot ratio for redevelopment. In June this year, I put in a written question apart from Yau Chim Mong district. I asked about the ratio of transfer and also the unit price. According to Ms. Bernadette Lin, the government at this stage plans to or is ready to finalize the plan on expanding the arrangement. Now, I welcome this arrangement. I think this can help incentivize the private developers in taking part in urban renewal. The next point is this. We hope that we can adopt a pilot planning approach, and that is for Chansin May Village or Matawai Village, etc. We can start with smaller housing estates when it comes to redevelopment, so as to enhance efficiency. For old estates that's over 40 years of age, we should also incorporate them in the study so as to quicken the pace of urban renewal. I support the motion, so submit. Mr. Gary Zhang. Now, the policy address proposes deepening the development of Hong Kong into an international education hub. Now, this is a very invaluable brand for Hong Kong. It is full of potential. I support it. Have you clipped the mic? Yes. About relaxing the ratio for self-financed non-local students, we need to consider the fact that mainland students will be our major target because of the proximity and their interest. They will take up the largest share. This is only normal. At the same time, we need to make sure that there is diversity. We call it International Education Hub. It's not just about allowing universities to recruit more students and make money. It's also about our international influence. If only mainland students come, we won't be able to do that. So there should be an indicator established for institutions to recruit non-ethnic Chinese students. Of course, I understand that mainland students will take up the largest share, but we also need to attract non-Chinese students to come. So by setting such an indicator, we can encourage institutions to accept more international students. It's a win-win. On increasing the quota for non-local students in UGC-funded universities, the government has maintained the subsidized places at 15,000. Now, I acknowledge that, but in the long run, we should consider further increasing the number beyond 15,000. This can allow universities to generate more income and local residents, and our next generation will be able to share the fruit of success. For direct subsidy schools, according to the policy address, student visas can be granted for DSS schools to accept non-local students. Now, I have some doubts. We're not talking about higher education. On elementary education, I don't think there is a clear consensus whether it should be made an industry. That's also the global trend. Now, if we're talking about elementary education in Hong Kong, is it true that we have resources in surplus and that we need to recruit non-local students? I'm a parent. I can't really support the idea. And this is also the concern close to the heart of many in Hong Kong. So I hope the government will rethink this policy. Mr. Guo Wai-Keung. Thank you, Deputy President. Livelihood issues have always been about jobs, homes, stability, and it's also a sense, the cause of a sense of bliss and sense of belonging among the people. In paragraph 247 of the policy address, I see the government's resolve in protecting jobs for local workers and that they should be given priority. And that's also what the FTU advocates. Now, 4 years on since this term of government begins, we've strived for annual review of the minimum wage. We've also put in place abolition of the MPF offsetting mechanisms. We've increased the penalties for occupational safety, occupational OS6 offences, as well as the definition of the continuous contract. There will also be more rigorous efforts in tackling illegal employment and also tightening the requirement for recruiting foreign labor, especially for trades and job types such as waiters and junior cooks, etc. On housing, the government has enhanced the housing supply. It has put in place light public housing, basic housing units, etc. Now, for on the whole, the government will rigorously tackle illegal employment and tackle the abuse of the supplementary labor scheme mechanism. Now, this is also what the FTU have all along suggested. We should accord priority to local employment. We emphasize that a dynamic approach should be taken and that when there is abuse, the system should be suspended. And more rigorous arrangements are now put in place under the enhanced SLS, and that the calculation of ratio is also adjusted. However, I've asked members of the public, and many of the view that this administrative penalty mechanism is not having sufficient deterrence against non-compliant employers. These employers may not be able to apply for imported labor again, but at the same time, those who have lost their jobs will be in limbo. They would find it very difficult to find a new job. 2 months ago, when I met with the Labor Department, many workers told me that after they've been dismissed, they could only take up temp jobs and they could only take up casual jobs, even if the continuous contract definition has changed from 418 to 468. We have still received complaints from many employees because of labor importation. Employers would continue to exploit the system and not allowing the employees to work until they meet the continuous contract requirement. So I think the survey should be expanded to cover the shortening of work hours or alteration of work hours for proof of any exploitation of the system. Now, there are fewer construction projects in the private sector, together with bleak outlook of the F&B and retail sectors. Many people have lost their jobs, and that the government should tackle illegal employment so as to alleviate the situation. In the 2 sessions, our country emphasizes flexibility in employment as well as safeguards for workers. For workers in Hong Kong, they enjoy certain benefits such as healthcare and occupational injuries. If you cannot establish an employment relationship, however, there is no protection to speak of. That applies to platform workers. Now, a compensation mechanism will be established as a tripartite group, and I support that. For delivery workers, platform workers, they have a lot of hurdles. Many of them aren't able to find a job because of the language barrier. For example, the South Asian don't speak Chinese, and also we need to be grateful because during the pandemic we did rely on these delivery workers, and I hope that we could acknowledge the contribution and help solve the long-standing problems. About protecting workers who work under inclement weather, it is impossible for the entire city to come to a halt. Now, from the perspective of employers, they have paid out wages and other rent, etc. And because of the overheads, they would ask the employees to go to work despite inclement weather. There is no additional cost. In the face of occupational injuries, there is a coverage of labor insurance. However, Secretary, please consider providing additional safeguards to those who are required to go to work under severe weather, and that they should get extra allowance and transport subsidies to provide more protection to the employees. Dr. Dennis Lam. Thank you, Deputy President. I need to declare my interest. I work for a company that is involved in the R&D of biotech, and I am going to describe this year's policy address as being innovative. It upholds principles as well as making breakthroughs. and it's a result-oriented policy address. The government has demonstrated its resolve to undertake reforms. It will lay down a new chapter for the future development of Hong Kong. The policy address has also accepted a number of suggestions I made earlier. One is about attracting international and mainland top-notch pharmaceutical companies to set up presence in Hong Kong, relaxing the student enrollment requirement in universities, and also enhancing DSE's international recognition, innovative clearance mode, the third hospital, enhancing public healthcare systems, enhancing primary healthcare, etc. Now, this is an active response to people's concerns.
In terms of cancer prevention, which is very close to my heart, there are many enhancement measures announced. For example, collaborating on a long-term basis with the nation's cancer center and introduce AI-assisted lung cancer screening, gene testing for cancer, and also using cancer data as well as live samples to promote the development of innovative drugs and cancer treatments. Also, the 1+ approval mechanism would be enhanced. I applaud all these measures. For many years, I have been concerned how we can build Hong Kong into a leading innovative pharmaceutical hub. Now, the motion I moved last year was supported by government officials and members. Pharmaceutical and biological innovation is a key. It will contribute greatly to our GDP. It is also a core issue of well-being of people. With better drugs and better treatment, we can lengthen the lifespan of human beings. It is very important for the initiative of Healthy China and Healthy Hong Kong. My focus today is on development of innovative pharmaceutical products and life and health science. There are 7 steps of R&D of drugs. This is a flowchart describing the 7 steps. Now, when professors or pharmaceutical companies have an innovative idea, they will apply for a patent. After being granted a patent, they can conduct preclinical trials, for example, cells or artery trials. Now, before moving on to human testing, we need to ensure that the drugs are stable and are satisfactory in terms of its dissolving quotient. And then you have to get a certification that is IND. And then there are 3 stages of clinical trials. If everything is cleared, then you may be able to register your new drug. The entire process is nothing simple. So I wonder, our universities, which we are so proud of, to develop a drug, how much have our researchers in university contributed? It's usually at the tune of 20%. Now, the 3 stages of clinical trials. Conducting the trial is one thing. More importantly, the pharmaceutical companies will have to formulate a plan agreed by the regulatory bodies, and then we have to conduct the trial in a very vigorous manner. So if you look at how we perform in this regard, there are 3 core elements we need to enhance. First, the R&D capacity of our universities and our pharmaceutical companies. Second, policy support from the government. 3, sufficient funding. Linking up capitals is very important. To develop a quality drug, it usually takes more than a decade and more than 1 billion Hong Kong dollars. Without the inputs of capital, it is impossible. Now, we have the potential to become a pharmaceutical development center. We have very good talents and we have a capital market. But how are we doing in terms of this process? Some say that we are still at an initial phase. The yardstick is whether we have impactful drugs developed. The definition is 1 billion USD spent in R&D every year. There is none in Hong Kong, and there are not a lot of famous drugs which we have developed. Yes, we are doing the 3 stages of clinical trials, but the number is not huge. But since we have a very high-quality healthcare system, besides R&D, our clinical data is well received by the international community. That being said, we have a very small population. So there are international clinical institutes arranging for patients in the Bay Area to participate in clinical trials in Hong Kong. That is a good policy, and I hope that there will be more progress made in this area. And over the past few years, I have been very supportive of the primary evaluation system. This is extremely important. We want to attract international pharmaceutical companies to come to Hong Kong, but we are a small market with a small population. I wouldn't come if I were them. If there is a policy of using Hong Kong registered drugs and medical devices in the Guangdong province, our drugs and medical devices can be used on patients from all over the country. So with the combination of the primary evaluation system and this measure, we can attract international pharmaceutical giants to establish in Hong Kong. So with our strengths, we should also attract mainland pharmaceutical companies to come to Hong Kong, and we can bring them global. So we have these edges. We are recognized by the international healthcare community, but we need to pay attention to the latest developments. There is a very narrow window for our participation. Recently, there are several drugs with the 3 stages of clinical trials completed in the mainland. They have been bought by international pharmaceutical giants. So after completion of research in the mainland, the outcome has been sold to international players with exorbitant amounts of money. So the data available in the mainland is much more than ours. We need to seize the opportunity, otherwise we will lose on this narrow window. So we need to work hand in hand. The government should take lead and coordinate the efforts of universities and the industries. I would like to give you an example of government policy supporting development of drugs. That's in Australia. Many pharmaceutical companies do not conduct stages 1 and 2 trials in their own countries, but rather they choose to do that in Australia. Completion of clinical trials. The clinical trials completed in Australia will be recognized in the Western world, and there are lots of facilitation measures offered by the Australian government. Approval is fast. Now, after completing stages 1 and 2 clinical trials in Australia, you will be reimbursed up to 40% of your investment. So I hope the Hong Kong SAR government can study the successful example of Australia. We need to have more stages 1 and 2 clinical studies in Hong Kong. Now, there are more stages 1 and 2 clinical trials than stage 3 trials. So we need to canvass for as many stages 1 and 2 trials as possible. That will lead to a much better chance of successful outcome. Now let me share another example in relation to my own company. It shows that the government should consider offering more attractive taxation incentives. So the story is an American pharmaceutical giant has set their eyes on one of our patented drugs. Now, after negotiation, contract has been signed. We authorize the use of this patented drug globally in a certain area. The amount paid was to the tune of 80 million USD. So one hurdle we encountered was that despite the massive amounts of investments in our company, there is something called the withholding tax. We need to pay 30% of that sum as withholding tax. So that means we need to pay tax for 56 million Hong Kong dollars. So the actual tax rate is 42.5%. So we have consulted some taxation experts to look for a solution. So we found out that if the contract is signed between a mainland company and a US company, the withholding tax rate is just 10%. Better yet, if you have a subsidiary in the UK, then you won't be charged the withholding tax. Fortunately, that's what we have. We have a subsidiary, a branch in the UK. So we use that UK company to sign this contract. So it goes to show that for these massive deals, not only is there no withholding tax, there will be arrangements to exempt the signatories from this tax. So we hope we can have a better prospects for pharmaceutical startups in Hong Kong. So in the end, the money I earned is not counted towards Hong Kong's GDP contribution. So that is really unfortunate. Deputy President, I urge the government that we should not be blinded by the short-term challenges, and we need to remain hopeful. Despite the external and internal challenges, the 2025 policy address still gave us hope. With a result-oriented approach, we will speed up our pace towards prosperity. As long as we can leverage on the strengths of one country, two system, we can make Hong Kong a hub for high-quality talents and innovative healthcare products. We can contribute greater to the country's development and create better and healthy life for our people. I so submit I support the motion of thanks. Mr. Edward Leung. Thank you, Deputy President. For the first part, I would like to speak in the capacity of the policy area of health for the DAB. Now, I thank the Chief Executive for accepting the DAB's proposals. That is, in terms of the chronic disease co-care platform, the hepatitis B screening service is also provided on a trial basis. Now, in the past, together with other concerned groups, we have been calling for the government to provide free of charge hepatitis B screening for patients. Now, there was one activity where 124 patients took part in the screening, and 10 of them were tested positive for hepatitis B. They were high-risk carriers, accounting for 8% of the total number of participants. That's a lot, because 80% of liver cancer patients have been hepatitis B carriers. So for the 8% high-risk groups, there is a very high chance for them to become liver cancer patients. More worrying is that 70% of liver cancer patients are tested when they are in stages 3 or 4. They are already terminal patients. If we don't prevent the onset of liver cancer at source, it would add huge burden to the healthcare system as well as to the families of the patient. So the pilot program of hepatitis B screening is smart. There are still no details yet. However, by making reference to the chronic chronic disease co-care platform. The scheme would be operated on a matching ratio with contribution from both the government and the patients. The government does not have to bear the full cost, and it will also make the scheme more sustainable. So I support this scheme, and I hope the government will announce the details as soon as possible.
Since the announcement of public health care reform, in particular the adjustment in fees and charges, DAB legislators and our district ward have received plenty of comments. The main concern is that the reform will increase the burden on people. They are concerned that they will not have the money to pay for the fees. I have handled some of these cases and made calculations only to find that they won't be affected. There are schemes, or the aim of the project of the reform is to help those who are in need, but people don't really know about it. The information is uploaded on HA Go, but the calculation is rather complicated. The fact is that the government tries to explain, but people receives not the entire picture. The policy address also talked about setting up a dedicated team and enhancement of their data, of their information system to help the public. We support that. We need to make elderly people understand that the fees reform is not an easy task. More manpower should be devoted to assist parents on a one-to-one basis. We don't want patients to turn away from treatment because they don't understand about the fees. At the same time, the design of the information system should be enhanced. The calculator should be put in a more visible location. Well, if you want to calculate tax exemptions, it will have to dig to find the calculator. But the IRD has made it very easy, because when you try to find about taxation information, the calculator is just there. The government has made huge commitments on healthcare. As always, we support the policy address, and this is in line with one country, two systems. Mr. Tankabiu. This session talks about livelihood issues, the biggest one being housing. We don't just look at this policy address, we look at all 4 policy addresses of this term of government. We see that the policy addresses are focused and well planned. They have responded to public aspiration, especially on the issue of tackling substandard SDUs, subdivided units. I remember the time when light public housing was first floated. There were a lot of questions. But now we see the project taking shape, benefiting people. Secretary said that, actually about $7.5 billion has been saved for SDU households. It's not just that. Living condition has improved as well. They move to a bigger flat of about 300 square feet. Now children have their own table to study on, and they have area to play in. I've done some visits. The condition is starkly different from that in subdivided units. We talk about eradicating substandard SDUs, but without the 30,000 light public housing units, that will not happen. Where will the SDU household displaced be housed? But now we have 30,000 light public housing units. It is a concrete measure, giving us a real chance to make improvements. When it comes to eradicating SDUs, we don't have to worry that it will only remain on the drawing board. We don't have to worry that only negative impacts will remain. There are recent incidents that the Architectural Services Department has identified problems in construction. It's not about the problem, it's about the government taking the initiative to announce the fact that they have found problems. Of course, we are waiting to hear about solution. We want to hear about how the project will be handled so it won't be delayed, and how measures will be put in place to prevent recurrence. But without light public housing, we will not have a roadmap to eradicate substandard SDUs. Housing is an issue close to everyone's hearts. Elderly service is a similar matter. We talk about caring for elderly people. The bottom line is not let any elderly person be left at home and die as a result of lack of assistance. We work with the Social Welfare Department, the Home Affairs Department. We work together to provide better service to elderly people. There is actually a list. We provide better care and support service to elderly people. The next step is to use low-cost gerund technology to prevent the tragedy I mentioned earlier. So a good team doesn't just tackle housing issues. The underprivileged living in housing units, we need to make sure that the best policy and the best technology will be used to help them. In the past 2 years, the FDU has been talking about a youth home ownership savings fund. For children, we talk about taking them out of the substandard SDUs. We talk about elderly service. Youngsters, we talk about employment. But I'm sure the government has been following up the proposal we have put forward. Well, it's something like a similar project, a scheme in Singapore. Contribution is made for a period of 8 years, then they earn the right to be allocated a flat. We take care of children, elderly people, and young people who want to have a roof over their head. I speak in support of the policy address. Mr. Porter. Madam Deputy, I thank the Chief Executive and his team for giving us a policy address that is like a buffet. You pick what you want. There are some key areas, but I don't have the time to cover them all, and many have been covered by other legislators. There is the $500 million to support carers, as well as the pet-friendly policy. Hopefully, we will be able to bring our pets into electrical. In addition, there is the tightening of civil servants' performance appraisal system to stop people who haven't earned the increment to get it. There are also initiatives relating to helping enterprises to go global. The popular ones are the ones that can operate at the low cost, and these will be popular as well. I think the government can think along this line. Different political parties talked about their proposals haven't been incorporated in the policy address. Turning away from that, I would like to say that sometimes members, like myself, have criticized government policies. The electrical is different from the Executive Council. Our proceedings are open and broadcast live, whereas the executive committee, the executive council, talked about implementation and decision of policies. Well, we have Article 78 of the Basic Law. We have to hear the delivery of the policy address. We then have a debate, and we ask questions. These are our functions. But why do our proceedings have to be broadcast live? We represent the people. We speak for them. We urge the administration to do better. And the relevance of the Legislative Council is that we can openly criticize the government, speak on behalf of the people, and vent for them. If there's only one version, if legislators only sing praises for the government, then we have not fulfilled our constitutional duty. So please, fellow members, government officials, please don't take offense about what I said. I criticize the government. You may say, why is your glass like the one in front of you is always half empty? It seems that you are belittling yourself. But before I move on to the next part, I would like to explain why I do it. I am performing my constitutional duty. Under one country, two systems, we need to show the world that Hong Kong is different. We have a council that is open. We debate on government policies. We can speak our minds. We can criticize. We are tasked by our country to attract international talent, so we need to play by international rules. And this is our function, and this is our special characteristics. When I criticize, it's because I want the government to do better. After the delivery of the policy address, the chief executive and government officials have been busy explaining the different initiatives. Our 3-day debate is almost done. The most common comment I have heard from members are rosy ones. There aren't many criticisms. But what I hear from phone-ins or from the media is that people are in general not happy. Do we live in a parallel universe? Well, even in the media, there isn't much criticism. They're just coverage of sound bites. In the past, the press report about rhetorics, about physical conflicts, about other sound bites. But now, the press, do we just want the press to cover about other issues because we have no value in news reporting? They'd rather cover the privatization of the Hang Seng Bank. When I refer to the policy address in 2024, the beginning and the end of the policy address in 2022 talked about issues close to people's heart. He said that the policy address was one of Hong Kong people. And in 2023, he said that he's been mulling over what livelihood measures was most recognized by the PC of the people. But how come there is this parallel universe? It makes me think, this policy address, has it fully engaged with the people? Do we hear the concern and fear of the people? People talk about employment and housing, and these are the fear and concern of the people. I'll come back to it. In the policy addresses of 23, 24, and 25, this phrase is used. Do not underestimate what you do. But we do need to address the fear and concern of the people. We try to address the fear and concern of the people, and if we can't, we explain why. This is not underestimating our value or belittling what we can do. It means that we have not dodged the issue. We have not pretended that it doesn't exist. But what are the fears and concerns of our people? When we just praise the government, then we have completely departed from reality. Every government has their own shortcomings and weaknesses. There are things that we can't do, but we need to accept that because we have already tried. The policy address talks about low altitude economy, marine economy, yacht economy, aerospace economy, panda, night economy, mega event economy. As I understand, we have to reinvigorate our economy. But what's actually happening for the F&B retail sectors? We have about 580,000 people who are facing unemployment or already in one. There is a 7% of unemployment, which is higher than during the pandemic. So when we talk about the whatever economy, but is it close to people's lives? Have we actually addressed the fear and concern of the people?
When it comes to the job market, support for elderly, healthcare, education, housing, imported labor being replaced by AI, and the middle class, and also poverty alleviation, etc. These are issues close to the heart of the people. Have we identified them and embraced them? Have we proposed solutions to resolve them? Now, I'm not suggesting that the policy address is totally silent on these issues, but at least not many solutions have been proposed. And of course, the chief executive has responded by saying that we should just stay calm in the face of public inquiries. And we must not underestimate our capabilities. But are we responding to the public's fear and concerns? I don't think so. I think a capable government which is committed to bonding with the public should engage the public. Like Ms. Maggie Chan just now said, we do not have sweeteners. We only have the Chinese herbal medicine. And I also understand what the chief executive said. We cannot affect the morale of civil service. But what about the public morale? Shouldn't we do something to boost the public morale either? Shouldn't we engage the public to boost their morale? So these are really my heartfelt criticisms for the policy address. It's now 50% done. I hope that we can go further. Now, the chief executive has remarked that improving people's livelihood is the ultimate objective of this term of government. And also that this echoes what President Xi said. We must not leave behind anyone in the course of reform and in the course of poverty alleviation. We cannot leave anyone behind. Well, of course, these are really encouraging remarks that could boost public morale. But I'd also like to remind the government for whom are we fighting? So be it the top talent pass scheme, tourism policies, etc., and also our efforts to combat false qualifications, applications, etc. On the one hand, under one country, two systems, we should actively integrate into national development. But on the other hand, we must not forget our unique identity as a city under one country, two systems, so how we are different from other provinces and cities. So when it comes to implementing policies, we need to make sure that whilst our policies dovetail with those in our country, we also need to fight the corners for people of Hong Kong. It's just like the formula milk ban order. Because of the type 2 babies back then, I do feel that nowadays Hong Kong people are being left out. I'm not trying to stir up conflicts, but I speak for the people in this council. I must hammer home this message to the government for whom you are responsible. That now the president of the country, of course, is our boss. But in terms of grievances among the people, they don't want to be ignored. They don't want officials just to look up to their bosses. This is not what the meaning of one country, two systems is. This is not what the Central People's Government want Hong Kong to be. The other point I like to make is that before the policy address was delivered, there were strong calls for the relaunch of the tenant purchase scheme. And then the policy address was silent on the matter. And we also spent years and abundant resources on the municipal solid waste charging scheme. In the end, this plan is now shelved. Then how are you going to address expectations? Without MSW charging, how do we deal with waste disposal? Well, the news came out by coincidence on a day when Typhoon Signal number 10 was hoisted, and there was only moderate coverage in the news. So this is the public's perception. If you are not doing well enough, just admit and make improvement. So like I said, it's not 50% of work done. I say the government is doing good enough. It's 80%, 20%. I don't want to be mistaken as to be criticizing the government. Of course, I acknowledge all the good policies. The government has acted with great efficiency. However, I just want this half-filled glass to be totally filled, not only 50% or 80%, but 100%, so that the public could feel that the government is really working for the people. And be it the media, or the government, the legislative council, we can all engage the public so that we find value in the whole system. Whilst we support the government, I don't want to be perceived as a rubber stamp. We should not just sing praises to the sky. We should criticize the government when, if necessary. Your time is up. Professor Priscilla Leung. I'd like to speak in support of this motion of thanks. I'd say that it has been a very long and hard journey for us to reach this stage with good interaction between the legislature and the executive. And we are supporting each other and monitoring each other. In the past 4 years, whenever I put questions to government officials, I almost immediately received their replies. Now, of course, for criticisms on public policies, we will usually have good communications with the government. I'd also like to stress that we are facing the biggest challenge after World War II. We should maintain world peace and tackle challenges together. International law forms the new order for respect for global peace and sovereignty of the countries. And yet, because of US and Germany, unilateralism is practiced. Even the international organizations such as UN and UTO are now at stake. Whereas our country being a strong country, has reiterated that it will offer unwavering support to WTO as well as multilateralism. We're in this era, and it is important for us to safeguard one country, two systems. This is very important in fostering peace and unity across the strait and deepen international exchange and cooperation so that we can contribute to the high quality development of a country, and we can also show the world the merits of one country, two systems. This is the appeal of Hong Kong. I so submit. Does any other member wish to speak? If not, I will call upon the public officers to speak. Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration. Deputy President, the Chief Executive attaches great importance to long-term and systematic planning. Therefore, this year's policy address has introduced new initiatives on a number of cross-departmental issues requiring long-term planning, such as establishing a working group on aging society strategies and promulgated a multi-pronged strategy to encourage childbirth. Now let's start with a working group on aging society strategies. Aging is a global issue and Hong Kong is inevitably affected. Our population continues to age and the pace of aging will become quicker in the next 20 years when more than 1 out of every 3 Hong Kong people will be an elderly age 65 or above. The government must take the initiative and plan ahead to respond to the changes brought about or the challenges brought about by an aging society. Last year, the Chief Executive announced in the policy address the setting up of a working group on promoting silver economy. The working group in May this year announced 30 measures in 5 areas to inject impetus in our economy and upgrade the quality of life and allow them to get a share of the economic success. To tackle the challenges posed by an aging society, the working group on aging society strategies proposed in this year's address will be chaired by me, with the Secretary for Labour and Welfare as the deputy head, will lead and coordinate the formulation of policies by various bureaus and provide high-level leadership covering areas of elderly care, healthcare, housing, culture, leisure, gender and technology. Given the wide-ranging impact of the working group will comprise members from 15 bureaus, and depending on the issues under discussion, invite the bureaus, departments, or other stakeholders to take part in the discussion. We will tap collective wisdom and will also engage the community to tackle the challenges together. A number of members in today's debate stated that they welcome the establishment of this working group. Some believe that more resources should be allocated to the working group to make sure that sufficient resources are available for the implementation of policies. I thank members for their recognition and the support. We'll make sure that the policies formulated can be implemented smoothly. If funding is needed, we will apply for funding in a timely manner. The working group will convene the first meeting within this quarter, and we will work out a plan and framework for the coming year, and we will submit a report to the Chief Executive as a next step. Encouraging childbearing. The decline in fertility rate is an issue faced by Hong Kong and many places. The Chief Executive announced in the 2023 policy address a multi-pronged strategy to encourage childbearing by creating a favorable environment. Now, the measures are implemented in a number of ways, such as newborn baby bonus, flat selection priority for families with newborns, enhanced childcare support, as well as increased tax concessions. These measures seek to demonstrate to society that the government attaches great importance to encouraging childbearing and to provide support as far as practicable. Many have benefited from them so far. For example, as of August this year, the government had received a total of 53,718 eligible applications and granted the bonus to 53,218 applicants. totaling about $1.064 billion. As for prioritizing allocation of public housing for families with newborns, as at the end of August, over 5,300 applications had their waiting time shortened by 1 year, and about 540 of the households involved had already been allocated the flats. On birth figures, the number of newborns increased significantly in 2024, and that's a reversal of the previously declining trend. There was a year-on-year increase of 3,500 newborns, representing an increase of around 11%, and the total number of newborns registered were 36,700. Now, there are also other combination measures proposed, such as extending the period for additional childcare allowance, as well as more childcare centers in the next 3 years to provide a total of about 1,500 daycare service places for children up to 3 years old, expanding the school-based after-school care service scheme so that no cap will be introduced. Dedicated counters will be set up for pregnant women to queue for healthcare services and enhancing pre-pregnancy, antenatal, and postnatal health services. We'll continue to increase the number of places for assisted reproductive services from 1,100 to 1,500 in 2025-26. We will also promote family-friendly employment practices that are conducive to childcare, such as flexible working hours. I thank members for their support. This newborn baby bonus will run for 3 years. It was launched in October 2023. We're going to conduct a review and conclude the experience. We'll also consider the views and suggestions expressed by members as well as the community. We will announce the review outcome in early 2026. Now, this is a policy address for the people. It improves people's livelihood. This is the government's intention as well as the ultimate objective. Now, at the start of the policy address, the government emphasizes that the purpose of improving governance is to improve people's livelihood, and our original intention remains the same. I urge members to support the motion.
Secretary for Health. President, I thank members for their views on healthcare-related measures in the Chief Executive's 2025 policy address, and also for their support for the Health Bureau's ongoing efforts to deepen healthcare system reforms. They are crucial for maintaining Hong Kong's high-quality medical services and efficient healthcare system, and for enhancing and safeguarding public health. The government will strengthen the public healthcare system to enhance the safety, quality, and efficiency of public healthcare services. We will actively implement public healthcare fees and charges reform to ensure that limited medical resources are allocated to patients most in need. The Hospital Authority, Primary Healthcare Commission, and Departments of Health will optimize service processes to provide the elderly, persons with disabilities, and pregnant women with a more convenient, comfortable, and safe consultation experience. Regarding healthcare manpower development, the task group on new medical school is expected to submit its final recommendation on the establishment of the new medical school to the Chief Executive within this year. The Hospital Authority will also launch the Talent Chain projects. At the same time, we will support the hosting of national and international healthcare professional conferences in Hong Kong to promote mutual professional development, as well as cooperation and exchanges with the mainland and other places, thereby building a collaborative platform, integrating clinical services, teaching, and research. In order to strengthen primary healthcare services with a focus on prevention, we will introduce a bill to the Legislative Council within 2026 to assist the Primary Healthcare Commission in effectively planning primary healthcare services and resource allocation. We will also enhance family medicine outpatient preventive screening and care services, increase their service capacity, extend the chronic disease co-care pilot scheme, enhance community-based oral health education and risk assessment services, promote the community drug formulary and community pharmacy program, and further develop district health networks. We will also enhance cancer screening by expanding HPV testing of self-collected samples, commissioning local universities to explore the use of AI-aided lung cancer screening, and launching hepatitis B screening to prevent liver cancer. We will also enhance cancer diagnosis and treatment by promoting genetic testing and precision medicine, accelerating the development and approval of anti-cancer drugs, enhancing the HA service capacity and facilities, and admitting non-locally trained diagnostic radiographers and therapeutic radiographers. Low-risk and stable cancer survivors will be referred to primary health care for follow-up, so as to ensure seamless transition to rehabilitative care and free up public specialist service capacity for new cases. The advanced decision on life-sustaining treatment ordinance will take effect in mid-2026, under which end-of-life care services for patients with terminal illnesses will be enhanced. This has been a remarkable year for the development of Chinese medicine in Hong Kong. We will publish the Chinese Medicine Development Blueprint by the end of this year, covering clinical services, a multidisciplinary service network, professional development, quality standards for Chinese medicine, international standards for medical materia, R&D and innovation, Chinese medicine culture, and promoting Chinese medicine to the world. The Chinese Medicine Hospital of Hong Kong will commence operation in phases by the end of this year. In its inaugural year, specialized TCM services will be offered across 6 disciplines, including medicine, surgery, gynecology, pediatrics, orthopedics, and acupuncture, along with 12 special disease programs. In addition, the permanent premises of the Government Chinese Medicine Testing Institute will begin operation in phases from December this year. We will continue to promote mental health by encouraging more individuals to receive mental health first aid training through the Mental Health Workplace Charter. The Healthy Mind pilot project will also be piloted at 9 service points. We will complete the formulation of the step care model on mental health, setting out the roles of different mental health professionals and stakeholders as well as their division of work. This will enhance professionals' referral awareness and establish referral mechanisms. Concerning developing Hong Kong into an international medical innovation hub, we will further refine our drug and medical device regulatory framework. Within next year, we will establish the Hong Kong Centre for Medical Products Regulation and introduce legislative proposals for regulating medical devices. We will also optimize the existing drug approval and registration system, accelerate the 1+ mechanism for new drugs, pilot priority evaluation and approval of innovative drugs with urgent clinical use recommended by the hospital authority, and gradually establish a primary evaluation mechanism to give patients access to the most advanced and effective treatments. The hospital authority will establish the Office for Introducing Innovative Drugs and Medical Devices to actively identify needs and benefits of innovative drug treatments for local patients through big data analytics, so as to proactively introduce innovative drugs and medical devices that are cost-effective into Hong Kong. On enhancing medical collaboration in the GBA, we have launched a pilot scheme for direct cross-boundary ambulance transfer in the GBA. In the next phase, we will work with the governments in Guangdong and Macau to gradually expand cross-boundary ambulance transfer services. This includes implementing two-way ambulance transfers, as well as expanding the scheme to 2 designated hospitals, that is the Zhuhai People's Hospital and the Nansha Division of the first affiliated hospital of Sun Yat-sen University. The pilot scheme should be extended to Zhuhai by the end of the year. Besides, we will promote the standardization of medical data within the Bay Area by connecting medical institutions across the region and integrating real-world data generated from the measure of using Hong Kong registered drugs and medical devices used in Hong Kong public hospitals in the GBA. The Real-World Study and Application Center will provide valuable evidence-based support for drug development, accelerating the launch of pharmaceutical products. Once again, I thank members for their support on our work and also their opinions. We will actively implement the measures. I implore members to support the policy address and the motion of thanks. Thank you.
Secretary for Labour and Welfare. President, the current term government endeavours to consolidate Hong Kong's status as an international hub for high-caliber talent and build a caring and inclusive society. I'd like to take this chance to highlight the new initiatives concerning manpower, labour and social welfare in the 2025 policy address. In terms of talent, since the end of 2022, the government has been implementing various measures to proactively attract and retain talents with remarkable results. As of August this year, over 230,000 talents have been attracted to Hong Kong for work and development. The take-up rate for extension in the Top Talent Pass scheme is satisfactory. The application rate has reached 55%. Based on the information on the extension and the findings of follow-up surveys, this scheme brings substantial direct economic contribution to our economy every year. The majority of incoming talents are young. They bring an innovative drive and diverse skill sets to Hong Kong. They also help alleviate the impact brought by an aging population. Hong Kong Talent Engage has been promoting Hong Kong's advantages in attracting talents globally. It provides comprehensive one-stop support to incoming talents. In March next year, the Hong Kong TE will host the Global Talent Summit Week. It will step up cooperation with mainland cities to conduct publicity activities to attract international talents. In terms of enhancing labor support and protection, we have strengthened support for local workers. Since the beginning of this year, the ERB Employees Retraining Board has enhanced their services such as training and career planning. It will formulate a work plan by the end of this year. The government will work with the ERB to take forward the medium to long-term reform, which includes amendment to the Employees Retraining Ordinance by mid-2027 to enable the ERB to perform its functions more flexibly and effectively. The government will accord employment priority to local workers. The Labour Department has launched new measures to combat abuse of the enhanced supplementary labour scheme in a targeted manner. Effective from September 18th this year, employers applying to import servers and junior cooks under the scheme must conduct an extended local recruitment for 6 weeks, during which time the employers must take part once a week in on-site job fair at the job centres of the Labour Department. The manning ratio requirement of local employees to import workers will be tightened. The Labour Department will complete the review of the scheme in the second quarter of next year. On enhancing labour protection, the government will improve the work injury compensation mechanism for digital platform workers through legislation. We'll make use of innovation and technology to step up occupational safety and health inspections and law enforcement to create a better work environment for them. On targeted poverty alleviation, we have about 20 initiatives, one of which is to set up 6 more community living rooms. In addition to the existing 9 ones, we expect to benefit about 7,000 SDU households serving over 1.4 million attendants per year. We'll remove the cap on the number of places under the school-based after-school care service scheme. We'll also roll out the co-build a caring society funding scheme to encourage family offices to provide resources for projects that benefit the disadvantaged. Also, on a pilot basis, we will provide households leaving the CSSA scheme and eligible for the Working Family Allowance a time-limited cash incentives to promote self-reliance. In addition, we'll publish the report on impact of targeted poverty alleviation strategy in Hong Kong in middle of next year. In relation to caring for the elderly, support for carers and persons in rehabilitation will continue to expand and enhance community and residential care services for the elderly. We increase the number of community care service vouchers and residential care service vouchers for the elderly by 4,000 and 1,000 respectively, set up 3 new neighborhood elderly centers, and provide about 700 new subsidized residential care service places. We'll also build new government welfare facilities and make them available for service operators to offer a daycare service on a self-financing basis. We'll also enhance the integrated discharge support program for elderly patients and provide subsidy for serving health workers of residential care homes to enroll in professional diploma programs for practitioners. The number of mainland RCHEs participating in the residential care services scheme in Guangdong has increased to 24, covering 8 GBA cities. We'll launch a 2-year pilot arrangement by the end of this year to share part of the medical expenses of elderly participants. We'll launch a 3-year pilot scheme to subsidize elderly CSSA recipients to live in designated RCHEs in Guangdong to improve their life. We'll also enhance the disbursement arrangement for portable cash assistance. We have also launched the first phase of care support data platform, and in addition, we launched 2 pilot schemes to step up support for high-risk carers who have been admitted to hospitals, elderly people living in PRH units, elderly carers, and carers for PWDs. On supporting PWDs, the government will set up in phases 14 integrated community rehabilitation centers and increase quotas for various rehabilitative services, set up more district support centers for PWDs, and enhance peer support services. In terms of children, the government will introduce measures to strengthen family functions. First, we'll set up an integrated family service center in Kutong North. Second, we will also help and educate divorced parents about the ongoing responsibility to care for their children. Third, we will provide transitional support to young people living in residential care services who do not have family support. Fourth, to prepare for the commencement of mandatory reporting of child abuse ordinance in January next year, we will continue to provide training for specified professionals in the social welfare, education, and healthcare sectors. We'll allocate resources to support and care for affected children and their families. In terms of encouraging childbearing, we will continue to support daycare service for infants and toddlers. In the 3 years starting from 26 and 27, we will add 15 new aided standalone childcare centers, providing a total of 1,500 daycare service places for children aged 0 to 3. This nearly doubles the current capacity. On mental health, we'll promote the pilot program on training for mental health promotion ambassadors to mobilize and train ambassadors to promote healthy lifestyles, foster resilience, and establish care support networks. The SWD will provide training to enhance school social workers' capabilities in handling cases. We'll enhance the tax counseling platform for online emotional support and cyber youth support teams of the SWD by strengthening AI application to more precisely identify high-risk targets. The government will continue to work in the areas of manpower, labor, and welfare. I ask members to support the motion.
Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs. President, members. Now, whether or not you'd like to take, whatever the perspective you'd like to take, I think you acknowledge the government's efforts in promoting youth development within this term. We need more support for our youth. We also need to build platforms for them. Now, we strive to provide more opportunities for our youth. For example, the policy address has launched the Young Talent Training Program, which provides more opportunity for young people to take part in internship opportunities. And we also have the we'll also deepen the youth financial education program in 2024 and deepen the mainland exchange programs so that young people will have a deeper understanding of the mediation profession under this program. On the 27th of September, we successfully held the second Youth Development Summit. I thank members for attending this summit under the theme of connecting the world into the future. A number of leaders responsible for youth policies and experts from different sectors were invited to be speakers, and over 3,000 young people registered to participate. Around 600 of them came from mainland and the 33 overseas countries such as the US, Malaysia, Laos, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. They're able to exchange views, and that at this summit, young people could broaden their horizons. And some young people told me that they have met new friends from Qatar and Saudi Arabia, and in the coming holidays they would go visit them and learn more about this world. The youth post hostel converted from the Kai-Tak CI facility has commenced operation on a trial basis, and in July this year they have begun to organize different activities, and they're getting ready for formal commissioning within this year. The youth post hostel provides affordable accommodation for young people. It also plans to organize 100 youth different activities in its 5-year operation period to promote exchanges between visitors and locals. Now, at the Youth Square in Wan Chai, we will set up a new interactive space and a video studio. There will also be a physical platform for interaction for Youth Link members at Nam Chang Community Center and the adjacent Tung Chau Street Temporary Market. This platform was established in September 2023 by our bureau to enhance interaction with young people. Now there are 2,000 members, and the first phase of works for these 2 projects will be completed by the end of 2025. Now, to address young people's aspirations for home ownership, and the government will continue to adopt a multi-pronged approach to take forward youth hostel scheme. The number of hostel places under the scheme has increased significantly from 80 at the start of this term of government to over 3,700. We also attach importance to healthy development of families and women in Hong Kong. To further promote women's development, we announced an increase in the annual allocation for the Women's Empowerment Fund from $20 million to $30 million. And we also increased the number of mentee places in the second cohort of She Inspires mentorship program by 50% to 120, so as to benefit more female university students. We'll also organize a second Family and Women Development Summit in early 2026. We will explore measures with the community to further promote the development of families and women in Hong Kong. To further assist EMs in integrating into the community, this year's policy address announced that in 2026, an additional ethnic minority care team will be set up at each of the 2 support services centers for ethnic minorities serving the North District and Islands District to meet the anticipated growth and needs of the EM population. Now, as mentioned by members, we don't just provide services to EMs to meet their needs. We also provide opportunities, and that is why Youth Network and Women's Network will be established at the 10 centers. There will be more opportunities and more activities for EM youths and women to help them develop their potential and promote their physical and mental well-being. In December, we will engage an additional support service center to provide translation and interpretation service to remove language barrier for EMs. Care teams forms an important component of the government's improved district governance structure. Over the past 2 years, 452 care teams have reached out actively to local residents and provided services to the elderly and households in need. They also help handle emergencies and urgent incidents. The care teams will soon begin the second term of service. We have set up 3 additional care teams and revised the KPIs for the second term of service, so that care teams can enhance the services in areas needed. We will also regularize operations and increase funding for care teams. We'll also enhance training so that care teams can continue to strengthen ties with government departments on emergency support. And we should encourage the care teams to keep up with the good work, and we'll also invite them to share the good stories in the community. Now, for single elderly singleton, if the phone is out of order, nobody will take care of them, but the care teams can help. Now, for people with a family member who's just passed away, if this is a singleton household, we have volunteers in care teams who pay home visits to show care for these people. So I like to appeal to members that if you want to give some encouragement to the care teams, please ring this hotline and tell the good stories so that people understand that care teams can provide care to the community. Property building management is a responsibility of owners, and government has always played a facilitating role. In order to help owners, we rolled out different measures. In this year's policy address, we have proposed new measures such as setting up working groups under the 18 district councils to discuss and exchange views on building management issues and also help owners tackle the problems. We also co-organized forums on building and property management with the Property Management Services Authority. Last year, the policy address launched the pilot scheme on joint property management in 4 districts. Now, just now, some members mentioned that the majority members would only praise the policy address, and that's exactly because of the merits of these policies. And in fact, many members have previously suggested the joint management model. And this year's policy address, we continue to emphasize our work for the people. So no matter the hurdle and challenges, we continue to implement this pilot scheme on joint property management. Last year it was first announced, and in June this year we have made good progress. We've reached out to over 110 buildings, with 61 of them signing letters of intent to participate, and 13 have agreed to join tendering and prepare tender documents. In Yau Chim Mong, joint tendering was conducted for the appointment of a PMC. I'm not going to give you details now. We'll continue to gauge the effectiveness of the pilot scheme. We will continue to review the Building Management Ordinance CAP 344 to draw up proposals to further enhance the ordinance. President, similar to electoral members here, this government has one goal, and that is to serve the people. I hope that we'll continue to do that so that we can give the society a boost of positivity, and we'll also put our people first. If there are any good stories, do tell them to the community so that we can cultivate a positive culture. I support the motion.
Secretary for Education. President, I thank members for their invaluable views on the education-related measures outlined in the 2025 policy address. Their support and recognition have strengthened the government's resolve in advancing Hong Kong's educational development. The integrated development of education, technology, and talent serves as the fundamental and strategic pillar for enhancing Hong Kong's competitiveness in the new era. The nation's master plan on building China into a leading country in education sets out the goal of developing China into a leading country in education by 2035. To tie in with this goal, this year's policy address clearly outlined Hong Kong's educational development blueprints and work priorities. The government will strive to establish Hong Kong as an international hub for education and high-caliber talents, and to cultivate and attract talents and foster technology development in a coordinated manner. We will promote digital education in primary and secondary schools to prepare youngsters for the future. Under one country, two system, we have been giving full play to our unique strengths as an internationalized education hub. We are the only city in the world who have 5 of the world's top 100 universities, 4 of them ranked among the world's top 10 most international universities, with 6 subjects named Global Top 10. These are recognition of our education system's quality and strength. I thank members for their support in building Hong Kong into an international education hub. We will spare no efforts in consolidating our status in this regard. New measures include the establishment of the task force on study in Hong Kong to strengthen coordination between policy departments and institutions, launching the large-scale Hong Kong Your World-Class Campus publicity campaign to formulate outreach strategies jointly with the tertiary institutions to promote the study in Hong Kong brand, attracting top-notch students as well as teaching and research talents to pursue study and research in Hong Kong, and rolling out high-value-added study tour in Hong Kong activities to attract non-local senior secondary school students to experience the life in Hong Kong, enhancing the understanding and recognition of our tertiary education. The UGC will allocate $40 million to support the 8 publicly funded universities in expanding their outreach campaign. Now, local universities are enrolling self-financing non-local students by over-enrollment. We will raise the enrollment ceiling for non-local students to 50%. The over-enrollment ceiling of self-financing places of funded research postgraduate programs will be increased from 100% to 120%. This will help tertiary institutions to expand their scale, enhance teaching quality, and create a more internationalized and diversified campus environment. It will enrich students' learning and campus experience and maximize Hong Kong's advantage as an international hub for tertiary education. Now, currently, the 15,000 annual subsidized quota for local students will not change. Universities will adopt a prudent and responsible approach in enrolling non-local students by over-enrollment on the premise that the quality of education and support is not affected. An internationalized campus environment will also promote cultural diversity, expand local students' global perspective, and broaden their networks. I thank members for supporting the Northern Metropolis University Town. The working group on planning and construction of the University Town, led by the Chief Secretary for Administration, has been established under the Committee on Development of the Northern Metropolis. The working group will set up a research task force to study the development mode for the University Town, conduct field trips on the successful models of university towns elsewhere, and canvass views from society. We will actively participate in this process to accelerate the developments. On vocational training, we will continue to promote the dual-track approach of conventional academic and vocational education. We will encourage local universities to collaborate with leading universities in the mainland overseas to promote industry education collaboration and joint promotion. The Alliance of UAS in Hong Kong will also explore feasibility to cooperate with the leading polytechnic institutions in Guangdong to jointly establish a Greater Bay Area exchange platform. We will continue to explore the mutual recognition of sub-degree level qualifications between Hong Kong and mainland to facilitate cross-boundary job seeking and pursuit of studies. On digital education, we will reserve $2 billion under the Quality Education Fund to support measures related to digital education in primary and secondary schools. We will release a blueprint for digital education in primary and secondary schools in 2026, setting out measures which include optimizing the interface between primary and secondary curriculum of information technology and IT education, setting out an AI literacy learning framework, and making AI education a core subject. We will also enhance AI training for teachers and introduce corporate resources to equip students for the future. We will also review the curriculum structure for senior secondary mathematics and science subjects to nurture more science and math students, thereby strengthening the talent support for I&T development. I thank members for recognizing our work on national education. In recent years, the Love Our Home, Treasure Our Country series of activities have united the sector and built a broader platform for collaboration. The series will be regularized and popularized starting from this school year, further strengthening cross-school and cross-sector collaboration to help students cultivate a deep sense of national identity through the integration of cognition, affection, and action. We will also refine the senior secondary Chinese history and history curriculum frameworks, design at least 40 itineraries for students to experience the founding history of the country through the mainland exchange programs, and announce the final versions of the values education curriculum framework in the next school year. We attach importance to mental health of students and teachers. We will continue to promote students' mental health jointly with partners in the government and the private sector. In the 2025 and 6 school year, we will regularize the 3-tier school-based emergency mechanism in secondary schools and pilot the mechanism in primary 4 to 6, so as to help early identification of students in need in primary and secondary schools and strengthen support for them. We will also actively promote the 4 hours mental health charter in campuses to encourage more school personnel to receive mental health first aid training and to promote parents' education. We will also promote comprehensive help for students' mental health. I thank members for their views on enhancing the professional quality of teachers. Teachers are the foundation and key of education. We attach importance to building a strong teaching force and strengthening teachers' professional conduct. In response to society's high expectation of teachers, we will enhance the teacher registration mechanism and explore amending the education ordinance to introduce the practicing certificates and regular renewal requirements, so as to ensure that all school teachers in Hong Kong are fit and proper persons, thus upholding professionalism of the teaching force. The requirement of practicing certificates aims to enhance the professionalism and ethics of the profession. It will also drive teachers to keep abreast of the times and uphold professionalism of the teaching force. Based on our interaction with the frontline teachers, we are consulting the DOJ as well as the trade so that our proposals are up to professional standards, pragmatic, and fit for purpose. Education is the key to a 100-year plan, while talents are the foundation for national rejuvenation. In this critical juncture, from governance to prosperity, we will continue to pull the strength of all sectors and advance the high-quality development of Hong Kong's education systems and contribute to the country. I so submit I support the motion.
Secretary for Housing. Thank you, President. I thank members for the valuable input on housing measures in the 2025 policy address and for the affirmation of the work of the Housing Bureau. To increase the sense of happiness and well-being of the people, this government has been rolling out measures to enhance not just speed and quantity, but also quality and efficiency. We also have to ensure that there is good quality and security put in place. Well, the key of this year's policy address is to improve people's livelihood. The Housing Bureau will continue to do its best to make sure that people will have proper housing. The housing initiatives in this policy address center on enriching the housing ladder to promote upward mobility. With the continued increase in public housing supply, there is room for the government to adjust the ratio between PRH, including green form subsidized HOS and other subsidized sales flats, SSF, to optimize the various measures. Through the hard work of this government, we have housed over 103 families in PRH units or purchased SSFs of the Housing Authority and the Housing Society, which is an increase by about 50% compared to 68,500 families in the previous 3-year period. We have completely reversed the trend of public housing production being backloaded and have successfully kept the waiting time of public housing. The composite waiting time for public housing has dropped by 1 year from the peak of 6.1 years to 5.1 years at the end of June this year, making a lowest level since the first quarter of 2018. In the next 5 years, we have adding light public housing. The total public housing production will reach 189,000 units, which is an increase by about 8% compared to when this government took office. The average annual supply is over 30,000 units. This level of output is the highest in nearly 24 years. The figures are encouraging. In addition, this government has spearheaded the innovative light public housing. Population intake of the first 2 projects in Yaopok Road and Choi Hing Road has completed, improving instantly the living conditions of people in inadequate housing. About 30,000 light public housing units will be completed by the first half of 2027, signifying a steady progression towards the target of full completion within 27 and 28. With the production of more light public housing units from next year, we move closer to the goal of reducing the composite waiting time to 4.5 years by 26-27. With the overall increase in PRH supply and the reduction on waiting time, our Bureau is able to step up efforts to roll out measures to meet the aspirations for home ownership and to optimize relevant mechanisms. For example, we will increase the ratio of quotas between green form and white form from 40 to 60 to 50 to 50. This helps more public housing tenants to purchase HOS, that is, home ownership scheme flats, to become homeowners, moving up the property ladder. This also releases PRH units to applicants on the waiting list. Starting from the next white form secondary market schemes exercise, the quota will increase by 1,000 to 7,000. We will also launch Housing Authority SSF Flat for Flat scheme for elderly owners, allowing those who have reached the age of 68 and have owned their flats for 10 years or more to sell their flats in the secondary market and purchase smaller flats or ones in a more remote area. The classification will be the same as that of the HA, namely urban, extended urban, new territories and islands. This measure enables elderly people to save the amount that is otherwise used for premium payment for their living expenses, while urban or larger flats can be released for families in need. It will be a win-win situation. We also allow flat owners who have owned their SSF flats for over 10 years to pay relevant fees in order to let their flats without paying premium. This will improve living conditions of those in need. Another key point of our measures in this year's policy address is to enhance cost effectiveness of our public housing construction. We have set up the Project Facilitation Office led by the Deputy Director for Housing. A facilitator and enabler mindset will be adopted to review, streamline, and advance the completion of public housing projects in collaboration with departments. The Housing Department would also continue with a new management approach to prompt the accelerated completion of various stages while meeting the overall supply target. They will also pilot batch procurement of modules of MIC and make good use of standardized building material database to shorten the approval process. In addition, the Housing Department will make optimum use of innovation technology such as the building information modeling enables a systematic approach to foundation design to further reduce cost. There is another important task of the Housing Bureau, which is the implementation of the regulatory framework of basic housing units in an orderly manner. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Council for passing the bill on the 26th of last month. The ordinance was gazetted on the 3rd of October and will come into effect on the 1st of March next year, representing a significant milestone in eradicating substandard SDUs. The Housing Bureau will commence registration for pre-existing SDUs in residential buildings and provide a grace period for their conversion in basic housing units. At the same time, application for basic housing units regulation will begin to ensure that only SDUs of a safe, hygienic, and reasonable living condition can be legally rented out for residential use. We are working at full steam on preparatory tasks. Say, for example, through different channels, we assist operators and SDU tenants in understanding and complying with the framework. President, when this government took office, the chief executive instructed us to stay ahead of problems by establishing a long-term plan to steadily increase housing supply. Over the past 3 years, the Bureau has formulated a strategy for the healthy and balanced development of our housing policy. The team has shown determination, resolve, and commitment in tackling Hong Kong's various housing issues, even if they are difficult. We will continue our efforts, remain attentive to members' views, and actively implement measures to fundamentally enhance the public housing system, thereby improving people's sense of happiness and well-being. I hope members will support the motion of thanks for the 2025 policy address. I so submit.
Chief Secretary for Administration. President, I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks to the 88 members for putting forward many invaluable views on the various policy initiatives in the policy address during the 3-day debate. Now, the secretaries have given replies in their respective areas. Now I'm going to give some concluding remarks on behalf of the government. The integrated development of education, technology, and talent is strategically necessary for development in the new era. Hong Kong's ranking in the World Talent Ranking in 2025 leaped markedly to the 4th place from the 9th place last year, which is the highest ever ranking Hong Kong obtained. This demonstrates that the current term government's policies to draw for talents are in the right direction. We have achieved remarkable results. Our efforts are also recognized by the international community. From the end of 2022 to the end of August last year, we have successfully attracted more than 230,000 talents to work and develop in Hong Kong. And the Top Talent Pass scheme in particular had a 55% renewal rate, which demonstrates the success of the scheme. The global competition for talent remains fierce. The Committee on Education, Technology and Talents, which is chaired by me, was set up in December last year to coordinate the integrated development of education, technology, and talents, and formulate policies to facilitate nurturing and pooling of talents and development of technology and promote clustering of high-caliber international talents in Hong Kong. The policy recommendations have been announced in this year's policy address. The government will continue to invest heavily in education. We're committed to developing Hong Kong into an international education hub. Will support the enhancement of capacity and quality of tertiary institutions and expand the pool of R&D talents. To further promote Hong Kong's post-secondary education to the rest of the world, the Education Bureau will set up the Task Force on Study in Hong Kong to step up publicity on Hong Kong's higher education and launch a large-scale publicity campaign called Hong Kong Your World-Class Campus to promote Hong Kong's excellent resources in academics, R&D, and international cooperation. To lay the groundwork for further development in innovation technology, we will complete the preparation work for the establishment of the Life and Health Technology Research Institutes and the Hong Kong AI R&D Institute next year. We'll speed up the development of the third Hong Kong Research Cluster, and its centers will be set up in the first half of 2026. In addition, the government launched the Frontier Technology Research Support Scheme to recruit top international R&D talents to Hong Kong. We'll also launch the Innovation and Technology Talents Exchange Scheme for the industry and academic sectors to facilitate coordinated development. To promote development of the new quality productive forces in the industry of biomedicine will establish the Hong Kong Center for Medical Products Regulation in 2026. We will introduce legislative proposals for the regulation of medical devices and enhance the existing drug approval and registration system. The Hospital Authority will set up an office for introducing innovative drugs and medical devices to introduce innovative drugs and medical devices for the interest of patients through big data analysis. We'll also further develop Hong Kong's biomedical R&D ecosystem by, for example, facilitating simultaneous trials in Hong Kong and Shenzhen through the Greater Bay Area Clinical Trial Collaboration Platform in the Loop and building a Greater Bay Area real-world data platform. With improving people's livelihood as the ultimate goal of governance, the government is committed to introducing various policies to support the labor force, enhance healthcare services, enrich the housing ladder, strengthen social welfare services, and promote community development. We adhere to the principle of prioritizing local employment. We have proposed measures to combat abuse of the enhanced supplementary labor scheme. We will introduce legislation to improve the work injury compensation mechanism for digital platform workers. We will implement a number of measures to improve employment rights. A comprehensive healthcare system is important to people's well-being. The government will continue to strengthen services provided by the Hospital Authority and enhance prevention-based primary healthcare services by, for example, introducing a bill to empower the Primary Healthcare Commission to formulate the relevant service standards so as to consolidate Hong Kong's leading position in cancer research and prevention and care. We'll promote precision medicine. We'll also enhance mental well-being of the public by encouraging more people to receive mental health first aid training. This government attaches great importance to safeguarding the basic housing needs of the public. We have endeavored to increase public housing supply, enhance cost effectiveness of public housing development, and implement the regulatory regime for basic housing units by way of legislation. With the increase in public housing supply, the government plans to introduce more measures to assist PRH tenants in acquiring their homes and facilitating the turnover of flats. For example, we've raised the quota allocation ratio between green form and white form applicants in respect of the HOS flats to 50-50 and increasing the number of quotas under the white form secondary market scheme. This government has received a positive feedback from the community on poverty alleviation programs. We're going to provide 6 more community living rooms, encourage more schools to participate in the school-based after-school care service scheme, and inject funds in the Child Development Fund to support the comprehensive development of underprivileged primary school students. On elderly care, the government will increase the number of vouchers for the elderly by 4,000 and the number of residential care service vouchers by 1,000, and we will provide 3 new neighborhood elderly centers and about 700 subsidized residential care service places. We'll also enhance the integrated discharge support program for elderly patients and strengthen cross-boundary elderly care. For example, by the end of this year, pilot arrangements will be put in place to share part of the medical expenses incurred by elderly participating in the Guangdong scheme. To identify and provide timely support to carers in need, the government is establishing a data platform to reach out to high-risk individuals. We have earmarked $500 million for annual recurrent expenditure to provide the services. On supporting persons requiring rehabilitation services, we will provide 450 additional places for preschool, day and rehabilitation residential rehab services in 2026-27. We also attach importance to youth development. In this year's policy address, we announced that the Youth Talent Training Program will be launched to equip young people with international outlook and help them develop macro perspective. The Youth Post Hostel has commenced trial operation. It will provide affordable accommodation and organize diversified exchange activities. On improving district governance, the second phase of the service of care teams will commence soon. We've added 3 care teams in accordance with the district needs. We'll also optimize the KPIs for the second phase. We will step up training to enhance the ability of care teams in responding to emergencies. President, on behalf of the SAR government, I'd like to thank members once again for expressing their views during the consultation period as well as during the motion of thanks debate. Now, members' invaluable views have completed the policy address. This also demonstrates a positive interaction between the executive and the legislature. Mr. Paul Chair just now mentioned what a councillor here should do. Apart from praising the good policies of the government, the members should also put forward criticisms if necessary. Now, I fully agree with Mr. Paul Chair. We also cherish all the constructive suggestions and views coming from members. In fact, we have taken on board members' suggestions in amending legislation. However, Mr. Paul Chair also mentioned some Hong Kong people being left behind. I'm afraid I beg to differ. It is the Chief Executive's intention to improve people's livelihood. It is also the ultimate goal of governance. That is why in the policy address, we have measures to improve people's livelihood, and there are also measures to promote economic development. These two areas are intertwined. They complement each other. We improve the economy in order to improve people's livelihood. And improving people's livelihood can provide new impetus to economic development. In the past 3 years, with the concerted effort of the public and the government, we have rise in the rankings of many objective indicators. This demonstrates the strength of one country, two systems. It provides long-term prosperity and stability. In terms of the international financial center, trade center, and also talent indices, as well as competitiveness, we have always topped the chart. The question is we need to embrace challenges and grasp opportunities and give play to our unique advantages. As long as we adhere strictly to the principle of giving people the priority and undertaking reform, if we make a concerted effort, we'll surely embrace it and overcome challenges and scale new heights. I urge members to support the policy address and that these policy initiatives will be implemented for a better future of Hong Kong. I so submit.
The debate sessions on the 2025 policy address end. Dr. Starry LEE, you have 3 minutes 13 seconds to reply, then the debate will come to a close. President, in this motion, 88 members have spoken. The total speaking time is 19 hours and 51 minutes. I thank members for speaking on the policy areas of their concern and for their constructive suggestions. The fourth plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee will take place between the 20th and the 23rd of this month to discuss the 15th five-year plan. At this crucial juncture, the main direction of Hong Kong's future development is to proactively align with national development and strategy and integrate into national development. Under this direction, this year's policy address is positioned in the development of our country. An innovative approach is adopted to make strategic plans to achieve breakthrough. Various measures are proposed to improve the lives of people, to meet their needs, and to give them a greater sense of happiness and well-being, which is the original intention of people-oriented governance of the Chief Executive. The Chief Executive exchanged views with members through different platforms. During the consultation on the policy address, he's also exchanged views with members of the public. The key areas in the blueprint outlined in the policy address have incorporated input and suggestion from members. The blueprint is set. The key is now in its implementation. Looking ahead, a number of legislative proposals and economic and livelihood initiatives will be handled by the next term of LegCo. I believe that the 8th term of LegCo will work for the well-being of the people. They will be dedicated to the duties of monitoring governance and contributing to good governance. It will work with the executive to give full play to Hong Kong's unique advantage of one country, two systems, support the 15th five-year plan, and integrate into the national development to realize Hong Kong's brighter development. I ask members to support the motion. I so submit. Thank you. And I put the question to you that Dr. Starry LEE's motion be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the motion passed. And I'll adjourn the Council until 11 a.m. on Wednesday, 15th of October, 2025.